Welcome back to another SCP reading, dear researchers. Today we're going to be reading SCP-481, Scar Tissue. Now without further ado, item number SCP-481, Object Class, Euclid, Special Containment Procedures. SCP-481 is currently contained in Sector 25 in a specially designated dormitory for the affected subjects. The dormitory is built to modified D-class specifications, with space for 2 occupants at this point, based on the spread of the scar tissue. Besides the standard sleeping quarters, there is a living space for each accessible through an outer isolation room. Subjects are allowed written and recorded entertainment that is available from local sources and does not violate containment procedures. No excessive funds are to be spent on this. Subjects are allowed visits to the outer facility and externally walled gardens for no more than 3 hours per day, supervised by 2 Level 2 security personnel. Cameras are installed in the dormitories and are to be monitored by 1 Level 2 security personnel at all times. Subjects should not be prevented from self-harm except for in cases of corresponding large-scale violence and full-body restraints are authorized in this case under the supervision of a trained medical team. Description: SCP-481 was originally a clustered pattern of scars roughly corresponding to a variably partial map of India, appearing on SCP-481-1, formerly Miss, since at least the 1990s. SCP-481 has since spread to SCP-481-2, formerly a Foundation agent, see Addendum 481-01. When SCP-481 first manifested on SCP-481-1, it appeared as a small series of crisscrossing scars that has been found to correspond to the neighborhood of... While it is still not readily apparent why this town is being mapped, the sympathetic effects of the scars and city are readily apparent. The scars are a perfect recreation of the town. Streets and alleys appear as straight scars resembling lacerations made with a dull cutting implement. Buildings are represented by scar nodes. A small canal flowing through the town is represented by a jagged scar across the abdomen of SCP-481-1. The growth of new scars corresponds to the expansion of the already overcrowded town/city, including slums set up on unofficial roads. Described as very painful by both SCP-481-1 and -2, the effect is not limited to growth. Any demolition leads to severely painful scouring of the corresponding scar patterns. Scars currently cover 100% of the skin, including the scalp of SCP-481-1, and approximately 47% of the skin of SCP-481-2, from the shoulders to the lower torso, including both arms. SCP-481-1 has shown tendencies to self-harm since her incarceration. Any scars left by this faded completely within 20 days, and did not correspond to changes in the city architecture. It was therefore believed that the self-inflicted scars were merely an expression of SCP-481-1's frustration with her containment. This has since been proven inaccurate by Incident 481-1-01. Addendum 41-01. When SCP-481-1 ran out of skin for the scars to expand to, it is believed that the expansion events were over. Within a week, scars began appearing on SCP-481-2. He was immediately quarantined along with SCP-481-1, and has since been under observation. SCP-481-2 had a history of dealing with the before coming to the Foundation, just as SCP-481-1 did. Whether this connection is the key to SCP-481-2 becoming the new focus for the scars is currently under investigation. Incident 41-1-01. In the early 2000s, SCP-481-1 attempted suicide via an improvised plastic blade drawn across the wrists. At the same time, the now infamous riots in India had reached the peak of their violence. SCP-41-1 was immediately attended to and stabilized, while the riots lasted for several days. The source of the riots was later traced to two neighborhoods, corresponding to the parts of the scar pattern covering SCP-41-1's wrists. Addendum 41-02. Further investigation led to similar ongoing reports of violence and petty crime from neighborhoods mapped out on the portions of the body associated with repeated self-harm. Tests were performed to determine whether damage to the scar pattern caused corresponding violence, and surgeons made several incisions to parts of the scars corresponding with the business district. No effect was noted. It is hypothesized that the self-inflicted damage is a compulsory response to violence and other crime in the city. Self-harm appears to be inflicted on parts of the body associated with high-crime neighborhoods. On another date in the 2000s, after SCP-481-2 attempted to remove a portion of his upper arm during a string of murders in the corresponding neighborhood, current procedures involving full body restraints were adopted. SCP-481 Test Log. Research Personnel. Dr. Research Assistant Hayden. Mobile Task Force 481 MTF-41. D5999. Recruited locally. These tests take place between 1103 in the 2000s and 1107 in the 2000s. MTF-481 rabble-rousers specifically assembled for these tests, based on skills in causing public unrest, traveled to India to better understand what SCP-481-1 is reacting to when she self-harms. A total of 5 escalating tests are scheduled. SCP-481-1 is to be observed via CC to gauge her response. Testing log format. Preconditions, actions, test results, note. Test 1. Preconditions none. Action. An elaborate and carefully choreographed fight was staged between 12 locally hired stuntmen. Test result. SCP-481-1 did not deviate in any way from her normal routine. Notes. As suspected, mere overtures of violence are not sufficient to trigger a response. Doctor. Test 2. Preconditions none. Action. Actual fights were instigated between researchers and locals in a very close area, leading to violence among at least 23 people. While there were no fatalities, several locals were injured due to their lack of formal training in hand-to-hand combat. Test results. SCP-481-1 began to scratch vigorously at her lower back in the area of scars corresponding to the location of the fight, drawing a small amount of blood. Notes. Okay, I see no reason to instigate a full-scale riot. I think we get the picture. Doctor. Test 3. Preconditions. SCP-481-1 was fully restrained to determine what effect denying her compulsion had. Action. After arming a small group of local malcontents, MTF-481 obtained permission from the local authorities to deal with them. MTF-481 made quick work of the poorly trained force. Test result. SCP-481-1 became visibly uncomfortable and demanded several times to be allowed out of her restraints. Blood pressure was recorded as elevated, and EEGs showed a sharp increase in the amount of electrical activity in the brain. Notes. Is it the stress causing those reactions or the violence? Doctor. Test 4. Preconditions. SCP-481-1 was fully restrained to determine what effect denying her compulsions had. Action. A mobile researcher proceeded to torture D5999 with various implements, finishing with them after 3 hours. Test results. SCP-481-1 shook violently for the entire 3 hours, before appearing to have a tonic-clonic seizure, followed by a cessation of her vitals. She was successfully arrived. Notes. Very interesting. Her blood pressure was way up, her heart was arrhythmic, and her brain's electrical activity was still spiking after that. It appears that the scale of the violence is not so important as, to some degree, the brutality. Still, until we better understand what's so damn important about this city, we're not going to lose our only clue to heart failure. Testing is suspended. Doctor? And with that, we've come to the end of our reading, dear researchers. Thank you very much for coming. I'm, of course, a little bit sad that they had to, well, straight up torture people and the like for this. Not always the way people would like to get these things done. But, either way, thank you very much for coming. It has been an honor reading for you. It looks like the interview went well. They've responded back to me, and I've got a second interview lined up. So, things are going well in my personal cat life. Either way, good luck out there, and I hope to see you all next time.